Hi, welcome to day 15. Today we're going to talk about maritime media a little bit and how it fits into the whole shape and segments of the industry, which is like what we're looking at for part two. And I'm lucky enough to have Holly join us. She's one of the top 100 women in shipping, and also she won an award at the Maritime CEO conference back in November on media and diversity, something that I don't remember exactly what it was, but you're truly a voice in the industry, and I'm happy to actually finally catch up with you.
Yeah, finally, it's so good to talk to you in person at last. Although that award was for Tradewinds, not for me personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were recognised as being as a publication that's good at diversity or something like that. But we were very happy to receive it.
No, it was really good. What I want you to do is maybe give a short introduction to yourself and what you do to the people who might be following this who don't maybe know you.
Well, yes, my name is Holly Burkett. I'm a reporter for the shipping newspaper Tradewinds. I think we kind of like to model ourselves on the Financial Times, but the Financial Times of shipping. So big focus on the commercial shoreside part of the industry. Lots of finance, law, market talk. I have been a maritime journalist of some description for about 13 years. In all different kinds of areas. Like I started off on a magazine about ports, and I went into another magazine that was all about the transport of dangerous goods, so things like chemicals, gas, and all the rest of it. Then I went freelance, worked for another maritime news website, and all of the while, my dream job was Tradewinds, and I always used to go out for coffee with Julian Bray, who's the editor-in-chief of Tradewinds. And every year we would, have these fantastic talks about, I don't know, shipping and all the rest of it, and which always been an industry that fascinated me so much. But at the end of these coffee meetings every year, he'd say, "Sorry, Hulls, we've still got an employment freeze on. We can't take you at the moment, but keep in touch." And I would literally cry on the way home because I wanted to work at Tradewinds so badly. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it took about 8 years for me to wear him down, but he finally gave me a job at Tradewinds, and the rest is history. And I've been there for 4.5 years now.
That's awesome.
No, 4 and a bit years. Yeah. So
yeah.
And I specialize in writing about dry bulk. I also do a little bit of shipping law. I write about shipbrokers a lot as well. I like to use social media to find stories and also to publicize what I do. I also am very interested in using investigative techniques to find things out. So that's something else I'm quite interested in as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just have fun at work, and hopefully that shows in what I write.
Yeah, it does. I love Tradewinds, and I'm always like disappointed that there's a paywall, and I'm like, oh, it's so expensive.
Sorry about that. I need to pay our wages.
But it's great. It's a really great institution in the maritime industry, and so many people like reference Tradewinds as like the premier about maritime media. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've done some things with maritime media before, like 2015. I used to write a lot for G Captain. I had a little maritime training startup that didn't go so well because I tried to do everything myself, which is a little bit like this project where I try to do everything myself.
At least you're only doing this one for 100 days, though. So I mean, exactly. you have a cutoff.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not going to last forever. I can't burn myself out if it's only 100 days. Mm-hmm. It's like just going on the ship for a tour. You're tired at the end, but it'll end at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you see as like overlapping parts of the industry that you come in contact with or that kind of affect your work? I know that you're writing about the industry, so it's a little bit meta, but where do you see overlaps?
When you say overlaps, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, if we go to the crazy Venn diagram that I really need to update after my conversation yesterday, there's a lot of things that overlap. Like you have governance and regulators, and you have professional services, and you have like operations of assets, and then I have all kinds of things that I need to add here, like maybe finance and ship finance, and then also maritime media, which isn't included in this kind of landscape when I was trying to group things, because
Mhm.
what I'd like to do in this part of the project is really find out what are the shape and sectors in the industry and how do those shape and sectors affect each other. Because if you do something here in chartering and brokerage and hull clubs and law and finance, or you
Mhm.
do something here in industry bodies, it has an effect over here with like producers or with transporters or with
Right.
marine construction and those kind of things. And I'm really interested in how the ecosystem that is the ocean industries really works now and how we might improve it in the future. Um,
Oh my gosh.
Not to be
Okay.
like a big
Um,
question. Um,
well, thanks for dropping this on me. Yeah, I don't know. So you've got the regulatory bodies, which obviously now more than ever are so important and shape the industry. Um, okay. Sorry, I can't really see it that well, so I'm trying to
no,
squint.
it's okay. I'm a
Um,
bad person and didn't send you stuff beforehand and just kind of
okay.
drop everything on people live and say, hey, I have this really complex
Just watch me
problem.
struggle. Yeah. Okay. To be honest, I think you've got all of the main things. It's interesting. Yeah. So classification societies, I
Where do
guess
you
they
think
are kind
the
of.
maritime media kind of affects? Do you think that it affects a lot of the governance and regulations, or do you think where is the push?
Oh, okay. I think that so something that I didn't I didn't fully appreciate before I started at Tradewinds was just how widely read it is, but also the influence that it has. And um, it is we call ourselves internally the local paper for an international industry.
Mhm.
And if you see someone in Tradewinds, there's a good likelihood that oh, so you in Tradewinds this week, and it's very that it's very um, Tradewinds is at the heart of the commercial community, I think, and it's something that um, yeah, people talk about, people read. Um, Another thing that we found out in various rounds of market research that we've done is how Tradewinds is used in kind of internal training.
Mhm.
So sometimes if you're a trainee broker on a desk, they'll literally just say to you, "Oh, just go off and read Tradewinds for half an hour," um, because the way that we write, it's not just about the news. We also, and this is so important to the fabric and the the heritage of Tradewinds as a brand, or what it's always been about, is it's not just about the news. It's also about the people and the relationships, and that's why so often you're reading stories that so and so is someone's daughter, or sometimes even we'll mention they're married to someone, and always inserting the names of key of people who have key roles or whatever, because that's something that's really actually quite difficult to. It's not always in, for example, corporate records
Mhm.
who the main shareholders are. So that's another reason that people read Tradewinds is into their KYC and due diligence processes, because
Mhm.
it's only in our archive sometimes that you find out what the relationships between people are, and obviously families,
Yeah.
friendships.
The
Um,
maritime is so
I don't want to say
relationship
incestuous, but
based. Yeah.
it's a small world. And if you, for example, work for a private equity fund that has recently got involved in shipping, it's very hard to get an understanding of that world from anywhere else, really. And actually, it's something that I don't really see in other maritime publications. That's fine. I mean, they're different brands and different publications entirely. But so I'm not criticizing that. It's just something that's really at the core of what we do, is also
Mhm.
talking about people and money. That's it. As simple as that.
But if you
And
want to like instigate change or you want to improve the way that we work, that's how it's done in maritime. You have to know the people, and the
mhm,
people
mhm,
have to know you.
mhm.
And it was
And you have
really
to. Your
funny.
reputation precedes you. Yeah.
Exactly. It's really funny, like when even like starting this project 15 days ago, like now I have people stopping me in the street in Oslo, which is
Wow.
really funny. Like people that either work at Kongsberg that I didn't know,
Mhm,
or other people that are kind of in the periphery, like the Wista network. I got stopped the other day and it was like day 12. I was like, really? Like my little project.
Yeah.
But
Hey, could be a Tradewinds article in here. You never know.
never know.
When it's all
We'll
wrapped
see
up.
it down day 90 or something. It should finish
Okay.
like 2 days before North shipping. It's my goal, is to
Ooh,
do
okay.
like the lead
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
So I should
We will
finish by the
definitely meet
time
up.
you're
Yeah.
here, and we can talk about how it went and if
Yes,
we were actually able to design something. Right now, it's
exactly.
still like background
All
part
right,
of
I'm
the
going to hold you to
project.
this because that would be right up our street. You know, people
Yeah.
and people doing new things,
But I mean,
especially women.
even in maritime, like I remember being in Korea, and then I run into people who went to school with me because I went to Kings Point. I run
Right.
into like other people that I knew that I met somewhere, or other people from Wista, or you just run into these people in the airport and they know who you are and you know who they are. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
way this industry works. And it's
Mm-hmm.
such a small world. And if you ruin your name, you're ruined in
Mm-hmm.
this industry. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really,
Mm-hmm. Unless you have a good surname, in which case you can do what you want.
yeah, it's
Um,
true.
so I think
Unless you have the money.
yeah, exactly. In answer to your initial question, I think that Tradewinds is kind of a focal point that or kind of a common ground that through which people connect or learn about each other. Um, it links in with the people side, the importance of people, as I say. Also, oh, another thing that I again that I perhaps had an awareness of, but didn't fully appreciate before I joined Tradewinds, and now, of course, I'm working on this publication that has so much influence, is that there's so very powerful ship owners, for example, or very powerful individuals in this industry. They don't care if someone like Bloomberg or the Financial Times writes something critical of them.
Mhm.
They don't care. They couldn't care
Yeah.
less. If Tradewinds does it, all hell breaks loose because, and we get massive blowback sometimes, because we are the paper that their banks read, that their
Mhm.
their counterparties and trading partners read, um, and also their rivals read. There's going back to the importance of interpersonal relationships. Rivalry is a big thing, and competing against each other and being seen to be doing better than your biggest rival is hugely important as well.
Do you think that's a
So
way to shape change going forward and to shape more of a humanistic approach to how the industry works and is created? Because I mean, I work in the maritime technology, and when we're
mhm,
designing a technology product or like a control center or those kind of things, we're
mm,
trying to find out what's needed by the people to make the work good there and safe
mhm,
there, and to make sure that that mental model between what they think is happening and what the system is telling them are happening are aligned in some ways. Do you think that, you know, it's able to push the industry to kind of change their focus in some ways
I think
towards creating good work and safe work?
I think yeah. Ooh, I think in specifically in reference to issues like safety,
Mm,
the role that, for example, the maritime press can play is being critical and shining a light and holding people to account on things that happen,
mm,
and getting those things down on record,
yeah.
because then that becomes material that people like yourself can take away and for example draw up new regulations or policies or whatever.
But even then, they would
Um,
say it's human error, and I find that a lot of the time, that's fundamentally an unhelpful way to approach safety and accidents, because
mhm,
people do make errors. They will make errors. We know that they're error prone. We know that they lose focus. We know that they get tired. We know that they get bored.
mhm, mhm,
You can't have that be the stopgap between major disaster and minor incidents.
mhm. So,
How
so
yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
difficult.
think people it is difficult, but again, there's so much. If there was a huge accident to happen on a certain vessel, owned by a certain company, I think companies today are so much more aware of the reputational damage and the reputational impact of having something like that happen. You know, having big charterers potentially never fix with you again. No one wants to risk that, and that's something that shapes commercial decisions and policies, especially things like safety. And that's a role that the press can play, is as I say, just holding people to account and being critical of people who deserve the criticism. I think also, so we over the past year, with the incoming sanctions regimes against Russia, and also the self-sanctioning activity by certain ship owners and businesses, so the maritime press has a huge gift and an opportunity to play a role in telling stories about, for example, who is behind certain companies, or these dark trades, and also just even something as simple as breaking down the various very complex sanctions rules and making them accessible for anyone. You could be a trainee on a desk, and we can write something that really helps you understand something that's very dense and constantly changing. That is, so I think that perhaps the maritime media can also influence the attitudes being taken by companies with respect to corporate governance, again because of the reputational risk element. If we call you out, you don't want that, because all of your business partners are going to be reading what we write. So there's that. I think we can play a part in, but also in diversity as well. I think that was what you touched on initially. I think that, so going back to what you said at the beginning, the Maritime SHE Award. So Tradewinds received this award for being the publication that was best at reflecting diversity issues in its pages. And it's something that we actually, a few years ago, had a few sort of angry or critical emails about, we don't have enough women, you need to get better at this. And we responded. And we just drew up a plan and tried to get better at, representing people of various different backgrounds and experiences. And we've kept that going in various different ways. I think we do it slightly different now than maybe we did it 2 years ago, but it's constantly evolving. And now I think we're at the stage where we are, for example, it was International Women's Day this week. The stories that we're telling about women in this industry are really drilling down into the various issues that women face, while also being professionals. For example, recently we did an article about the menopause and how women experiencing the menopause, how that affects them at work, and how employers can be more supportive, for example. We've done various articles on sexual harassment. So we're now covering what we may have previously called diversity issues. We're now covering those issues as they affect people of those identities as professionals within the business, if that makes sense.
As an industry issue, and not necessarily this is a side group issue. And
exactly.
That's something that I also work on with Wista Norway, which we've gotten a lot of things in Tradewinds that we've been doing. But with like 40 by 30, it's not about just the women. It's not just a women problem. It's a talent problem that the industry has, where we ignore that talent exists in other kinds of people. And that's also, one of the things that I'm doing with Cats Without Borders is also about locked talent, because there are whole countries that we don't access talent from. And there's, I think, there's as much talent there as anywhere else in the world. I think that,
Mhm.
while the opportunity isn't necessarily evenly distributed among the world, the potential for great minds and great solutions exists everywhere. And,
Mhm.
for maritime, we get from Europe, maybe North America, India, and Philippines. And the
Mhm.
rest of the world is largely ignored as sources for talent. I think that
Mhm.
that's really a shame. So Captains Without Borders is trying to change that, but you would be amazed at how difficult it is to get shipping companies to actually take cadets from other countries.
Mm.
Um,
Maybe not so amazed, but yeah.
yeah,
No,
it's
it sounds like an amazing
yeah,
project. Yeah.
difficult. But yeah, as an industry, we have a long way to go with
Mhm.
viewing diversity issues and as talent issues and as actually industry issues
Mhm.
as a
Mhm.
whole, because they prevent us from being as good as we could be as an industry and as sustainable as we could be, and to find new solutions and to be as innovative as we could and should be. Um,
Mhm. Mhm. I think also it's so as I mentioned, there's a dual element in this. It's about representing um the very different kinds of people who work in the industry, but also highlighting some of the issues that could be holding them back,
mhm,
um, or or just not enabling them to achieve their proper potential. And I
mhm.
think that can be really influential for employers who are trying to do the right thing. Maybe they don't know how to. Um, and just and keeping conversations around
It's
this
difficult.
going.
There's not a playbook of this is how it works and this is
Hmm.
how you can
Hmm.
do really well with these challenges. It's
Hmm.
trial and error and practice and innovate and practice again and try again. And
Hmm.
there's no one
So
answer.
yeah, so I hope that we are doing a good job. Absolutely anyone is invited to get in touch with me if we're not, because as I say, it's something we really care about. We want to get better at it, and
Mhm.
any kind of feedback is really helpful in that approach.
Yeah. Is there anything else you kind of want to share with your thoughts on how the industry might be better or redesigned or more inclusive
Um,
or smooth or sustainable or
I think that so I spend a lot of time on Equasis, and
Mhm,
Equasis is a central repository for information about vessels, IMO numbers, who owns
mhm,
them, who manages them, who used to own them and manage them, and port state control, inspection records, and all the rest of it. And I wish there's no nice way to say this. I wish it was
mhm,
better. I wish it was better.
mhm,
And I wish that it was easier to um, locate, for example, who are the individuals behind vessels, or who really owns them, ultimate beneficial owners. I wish there was something like that. I wish that whole side of things could be more transparent. Obviously, for various legal reasons, there's plenty of people who don't want to be known as the ultimate beneficial owner of ships.
mhm,
Um, but here we are in 2023, with various dark trades, Russia, Venezuela,
mhm.
Iran. Um, I think, I don't know. I think I just wish it was more transparent on that side. It would certainly might make my job easier, but also make a lot of people working in compliance their lives a lot easier as well.
Do you
Um,
think it's changing with transparency?
no, I think uh, in it depends what you're talking about. I think with, for example, the Iranian vessels that are secretly or otherwise owned by Iran,
Mhm,
the the techniques that have been used to disguise that
mhm,
haven't really been so sophisticated.
mhm,
With respect to the Russia stuff, what we're seeing now is, it's incredibly difficult for people to work out if there's a Russian connection to something. The techniques that are used to kind of obfuscate the ownership and the Russian links are much more sophisticated than for example, when compared to what's been used for vessels with Iranian links. So yeah, and then on the other hand, there have been ship owners. Well, Greeks these days will admit to owning vessels, whereas in the past they may have just said, "Oh, we're just managers," you know. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a bit of a culture change there, maybe not totally, but there's some shift. In the West, US and Europe, again, it's a lot more transparent. Yeah, I think it's kind of going two different ways. There is this some a big part of the industry where things are, you know, they're going to greater and greater lengths to disguise the network behind these vessels. And then there's another part of the industry where actually they are trying to be more transparent than ever, you know.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
We have ways to go. Nothing's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
It's really a difficult challenge, I think. But I don't know, looking back at how the records were all paper and in some depository somewhere, maybe it was actually recorded. I think with digitalization, we've moved a little bit to more access, but I think we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, I just question whether Quasys is fit for purpose sometimes. Also, yeah, I have a feeling that maybe it's not the best thing for a single company, which would be IHS, to have the IMO contract for keeping records of this stuff. You know, is there a chance that someone at that company could be influenced to, I don't know, change listings for vessels or something like that? I don't know. I don't know. My mind goes to strange places, but I don't know. That's one.
I don't think so long as you're dealing with humans, I don't think that it's never impossible to have undue influence anywhere, whether it's in a government organization, and body, or a company, or
yeah.
Anyway. I think that it's really hard to to make sure that it's not happening. But
yeah, I think I can't remember what your question was, but
well, was anything else you wanted to add that could be, you know, needs to improve? Or actually, you can now, if you want to give me something that I should think about going forward in this project, or someone I should talk to that might have a different viewpoint
putting me on
than
the
I
spot
have.
again.
Yes, yeah. You don't have to answer. You can always get back to me by email. You know where to find me. But
okay, maybe I'll do that. Yeah. Okay, so someone you could, I'm sure I can think of someone you could, plenty of people you can talk to.
Yeah.
And I will have a think of other things that I would like to change about shipping. But I have to say, it's never bored me. After 13, 14 years, I've never been bored. I'm still fascinated by it. I still love what I do for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting industry, and I've been passionate about it for a long time. I think I started in the industry in 2004, so it's been a little while.
Oh gosh, okay, yeah.
But I was always on the operational side of things before I moved to kind of technology development. I moved there in 2018 when I moved to Norway. But before that, I was always in operations at sea. So it's a different perspective. And every time that I talk to other people from other sides of the industry, I get other facets of the big picture that I didn't think about before. And that's part of what this project is about. It's really kind of uncovering a broad subsector of the industry so that we can all talk about how we might co-create a better way forward. Just so many silos.
There are. So as you were talking, I was trying to think of other issues that I would perhaps change, and I think, well, it's not down to me, but so something that we've seen over the past few months, it has been the massive pushback against the carbon intensity indicator CII regulation, and companies, for example, Oldendorf, who would never, well, probably never actively seek to insert themselves into the press or put their head above the parapet and come out and be critical of things, have done so. And I think that a lot of the feeling has been by certain parties that for example, that specific regulation was, if you like, drawn up too quickly and without enough consultation from industry, and was just yeah, just
I can see that. Anything that
without,
is
yeah.
encouraging ballast voyages as a way to reduce your carbon
Mhm.
footprint doesn't make sense. But
Yeah, and there was no, for example, experience building phase or any kind of runway to. Well, I suppose there is a runway built into it in that you have to improve every year or so. Yeah, so I think maybe that's something that could be changed is tweaking the way that we draw up regulation
yeah,
to also take on board the practical application of those regulations
definitely.
with input from industry.
I think that that's actually one of the best illustrations of how siloed it is, because one
Hmm.
silo thinks that, oh, well, this will fix it. This is a great solution. And the other silo goes, that's the opposite of a real solution. But they don't find out
Hmm.
about it until it's
Hmm.
already way too
Exactly.
late, because there isn't kind of a cross pollination between the different fields of expertise that we really have in the
Hmm.
industry. And then we're not seeing the full picture. And if we don't see the full picture, then everything that we do will have unintended consequences that aren't
Hmm.
visible until later on.
Hmm. And big commercial impacts as well, potentially.
Yes, sometimes huge,
Yeah,
but
wouldn't want to make people to make less money. So
no, well, it
mm,
wouldn't be a very
mm,
good business if that was the case.
no,
But
yeah. So that's a big
thank
one.
you.
Yeah,
I
I think I've
think
said all I have to say. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I think we've gone to like a half hour, which is where I'm really
Oh,
trying
sorry.
to keep them less than a half hour, or about a half hour, because I want people to actually watch it. If I make it like an hour and a half, maybe like two people will
Okay.
slog through it, or they'll be like, they'll look at the timestamp and say, "Oh, I can't. I
Yeah,
don't have
exactly. I'm
time."
sorry. I love to talk, so it's probably my
Yeah, me
fault.
too. It's okay. Just mindful of the time. So thank
Okay.
you very much for talking to me. If you have any other thoughts, or if anyone who's watching this has thoughts or opinions, they can message me on LinkedIn, or put a comment below, or
Mhm.
message you, depending.
Please
And
do.
we'll find a good way forward for the industry together,
Hmm.
I hope.
Hopefully. Yeah.
But anyway, I'll see you
Uh,
at North Shipping, and if
yes, you
not
will,
beforehand.
if not before. Thanks
Yeah,
so much. I've really enjoyed this. So thanks for having me on. And yeah, just good to talk to you at last.
I
So
know.
see you again, hopefully.
Needed a project excuse to talk to all my favorite people that I never talked to.
You never need an excuse.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Right. I'll see you again. Thanks.